Hey there guys, Erica here from Hive 49R. Wait. Is that a brushed motor? And a motor case? And a motor lathe on my workbench? That's odd. But I think I know just what we need to do. I'll be right back. Bum bum bum! I have returned as Crazy Brush Girl. I know it's been a minute since I've donned my alter ego, but considering the Rocket Rustler needs a motor, I think it's probably good timing. So today I've got a Trinity Speed Gems Pro Chrominum motor. It's a 16 turn by LiQWYD. Motor's looking in pretty good condition. The sticker's nice. Brush hoods are dirty. Commutator from here I can tell is definitely gouged out a bit. So we're gonna have to take care of that, but not an issue of course. I'm looking forward to getting the lathe out again because it's been a minute. So with that, I'm excited. Let's just dive right in. So interestingly enough guys, there is no solder on these brush hoods whatsoever, because there are these little slide-on motor leads, little clip-on kind. I don't like using those because I don't think they give as good of a connection. But let's go ahead and pull our springs and such off, keep our positive side on the right, just so that we know exactly how everything came apart and how it goes back together. Ooh, brushes are small. Definitely need to be replacing those this time around. Yeah, especially the positive brush. Look at how small that one is. Alright, so I'll have to pull out some brushes from the motor case at some point. Let's get the brush hoods and heat sinks off of here. Okay, there we go. Got our hoods and heat sinks off of there. I will clean up the solder where these brushes are soldered on. I am going to be crimping eyelets onto the new brushes, so we're not going to be bothering with solder there. Oh, and I forgot, in these Speed Gems Pro motors, there is a tiny capacitor and a spring that goes in there. Now, what happened to the capacitor? I bet you it fell down inside the motor, guys. There's supposed to be a little square cap that goes right there. And it doesn't look like it fell out anywhere else. Oh, here it is. Oh my gosh. Look at how tiny that little capacitor is. That is what goes in there. So thank goodness I found that little guy. In addition, there are two more tiny little capacitors right here on either side underneath the brush hoods. There goes one. There's my second one. That's the little spring there that holds the capacitors underneath the brush hoods and heat sinks. Alright, let's spin the end bell off of there. See what she looks like. Oh, okay. There we go. Alright, end bell is off. First look at our commutator. Rough shape, but not unfixable. So that's good. Definitely a good thing. Pull our armature out of the motor can. It is stuck. Why are you stuck? Oh, I just broke the fire washer. Okay, I think I have extras of those though, so that's good. Why is this being stubborn? Why don't you want to come out? There we go. Alright, there's our armature. And are there any shims down there? Yes, there are. Once again, don't buy magnetic tweezers if you guys are rebuilding motors, guys. Learn from the expert here. Don't do it. And there's our motor can. Okay, let's get these brushes unsoldered here. Clean off the hood there with a little bit of solder wick. Now time for me to give everything here a bath in some cleaner, get the can cleaned out, get all the grime out of there. Got some AC flush for automotive application over here, and a brass brush for the hoods and heat sinks. I find that a brass brush does a fairly good job of getting off solder flux and other bits of grime and corrosion. With all my parts cleaned up, I'm going to head on over to the lathe and start getting my commutator cleaned up here. For those that have not seen it before, this is my Darren's Quickset commutator lathe from Team Orion. I got it off eBay a good few years ago now, And it has served me well. It's cut a lot of comms, and I'm quite happy with it. I'm just adjusting my stops here so that the motor's not sliding around all crazy like. To drive the armature, it actually uses an O-ring, believe it or not. Just going to put a couple drops of comm cutting fluid on here as lubricant. What I'm going to do first is mark the commutator with a Sharpie so that I can see where I'm contacting, and then I will actually start cutting. That startled me. My O-ring broke. Good thing I have a second one. Take a look. Still have a little bit more Sharpie on there. Basically what I'm doing is I'm cutting until all the Sharpie is gone. That means the commutator then is perfectly trued up. There we go. It's not 100% perfect, but it's definitely 99% there. Next, I'm going to use a ballpoint pen to roll over the edges of the comm segments so that the burrs don't catch on the brushes. And use a Sharpie, not a Sharpie, an X-Acto knife to get the rest of the shavings and gunk out of the gaps between the comm segments. And with that, commutator is looking just like new. Next, I'm going to oil the bearings in the can and the end bell, make sure they're nice and well lubricated. See how this one spins? Very nice. Feels nice and smooth. And let's see about the end bell. Feels okay right now. Let's add a couple drops. And it's spinning nice and smooth as well. Okay, here goes take 2 of putting the end bell back together. So we've got to put that lower spring in first, and then put this side spring in. And I'm going to do this side first this time. Get one of these little itty bitty capacitors situated right there. Grab my heatsink and my brush hood. Okay, so far this is turning out much better than the last time. Okay, now for the other side. Okay, so we've got our 2 capacitors, one right there, one right there. Let's see how many we lose in the process of trying to put this together. Looks like we got it, guys. Awesome. Second time's a charm. I'm also going to put on my lock ring while I'm here. This is what holds the end bell to the motor can. So now this end bell, guys, uses what are called P94 brushes. They're more square in shape than they are rectangle. And I just happen to have a set of factory Trinity ones right here. So that is what we're going to use. And instead of soldering these on like they were intended to be, I'm actually going to crimp some eyelets onto them because I like things that are removable and serviceable. Okay, right there. Give it a crimp. And for those that say crimps are not as good as soldering, think of our battery connectors and our bullet connectors. Those are all friction connections. They're not soldered, and they work just fine, right? And we're always like, oh, such and such connector can be rated at 60 amps or 120 amps, right? It's all just surface of contact, so it's really doesn't matter if it's soldered or not. I'm sure people will flame me in the comments for that, but that's all right. I can now go ahead and put my brushes on the end bell here. I'm thinking about adding some brush heat sinks, but I will do that, I think, after I get the motor all put together. Now what I'm going to do is align the brush hoods with a special alignment tool so that they are perfectly perpendicular to the motor shaft. And that's important for break-in purposes. So I'm going to run this guy through the two hoods. I'm going to loosen up my spring posts and my brush screws a little bit. Give it a little wiggle. Put a motor shaft through the center of it, like that. Give it a wiggle. So this is just making sure the brush hoods are nice and well aligned. Motor shaft slides nicely. Tighten up these spring posts and brush screws. Now I've got a nicely aligned motor. It's now time for the final assembly of our SpeedGems Chrominum motor. I'm gonna put my shims on either side of the motor shaft. Armature can go in the can. Plop our end bell on. Set it to 0 timing. Tighten up our end bell screws. Put our brushes in. And voila! We are done here, folks. There you have it. Trinity SpeedGems Pro Chrominum is fully rebuilt. Now I did say I wanted to add some heat sinks to the back of it. And I've got these nice black heat sinks that I got on eBay. They're 2 parts, so this little block sits on top of the brush eyelet, and then this bit of it sits on top and needs an extra screw, which I should have. So I found some teeny tiny screws to hold the heat sinks together, but the issue was that my brush screws were not long enough. So what I'm doing is sizing up the holes in the plastic to accept M3 screws, and then I'm going to drill out the heat sinks a little bit to accommodate the M3 screws as well, but I'm going to have to grind down the heads of the screws so that they fit inside that hole. Here's my ground down M3 hardware. I upsized the larger hole there so that it will take the M3 screw, just like so. And I've also filed this corner down to make a bit of clearance for a bump on the factory heatsink. So then those sit down on top of the brush eyelet. Gorgeous, so we've got both blocks on either side there, and now I can put the top piece on, do the same on the other side there, and we've got some added heat dissipation capacity, which is awesome. And there we go, our SpeedGems Pro Chrominum is complete. And the last thing to do is give her a test and see how she runs. Very nice, I'm happy. Really just need to let this thing run a little bit longer as a proper break-in, and then it's ready to go in the Rocket Rustler. With that, guys, thank you so much for watching me rebuild this 16-turn double SpeedGems Pro Chrominum. I had a great time doing it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Having the heat sinks on there will definitely help with the heat dissipation of this motor, since the Rocket Rustler is indeed a little bit heavier than I think it should be, just because of all the aluminum parts that we've got on it and the motor disconnect. So with that, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please do tune in to the next Rocket Rustler episode whenever that comes out. If you did enjoy this video, please do leave a big fat thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and hit that subscribe button if you're new here. If you want to keep up with what I'm doing behind the scenes, Instagram is a great place for that. Highway49_RC is my tag. And if you want to chat with me and other fellow RC enthusiasts, you can head over to my Discord server. Links are in the description. And if you want to support me and other videos just like this one, consider becoming a channel member or a patron. Both of those would be greatly appreciated. Guys, thank you again so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Whew. Man, what got into me? And what's with this mess?